Listen, you're not my mate. I don't want a weak, skinny she-wolf such as yourself as my mate. So don't bother trying to be. Get that into your thick skull. And don't even think about telling anyone else about this.
I was beside my parents when the whole thing happened. Our Alpha Benson, came out with his mate beside him, and Brad at his other side. I couldn't hear what they were saying as my heart was thumping loudly in my ear, and my throat clogged with tears. All I saw was Stacy regally and confidently walking out, before Brad sunk his canines into her neck with no regrets, as everyone cheered them on. I ran outside to get away from it all, and my parents went after me. But I didn't wait, and instead shifted into my wolf before racing further into the forest. No one knew about Brad being my mate, not even my parents. I was left broken. My whole body was engulfed with pain, and I felt the agony of my heart being ripped out of my chest. Brad mating Stacy had almost killed my wolf that day, and maybe me. I hid in the forest the whole day, too weak to go home, just howling and whimpering in pain. I resolved then that I would never show any sign of weakness ever again, to remain strong and keep moving forward. Brad may have rejected me, but I will show him that I'm much better than that weak she-wolf he thought of me as. My aunt was luckily a beautician and pretty damn good at her job. I told her to give me a makeover and help me with my wardrobe. I was starting college after all, so I should change my style. She was more than happy to help with it. And at that time, I had started to gain extra weight. I was still skinny, but the good kind of skinny. The hotshot model skinny. My tall height made it even better. I was nervous on my first day of college and wished I hadn't chosen the same as Brad's. Back then, I had still been obsessed over him and didn't think twice before doing it. Now I really wish I hadn't. At least when I saw familiar faces at school, I was more than satisfied with the stunned look on their faces, and it gave me a boost of confidence. I strolled down the halls like a queen and smiled at their shocked expressions like a boss. But then I saw him. He was hot as hell as always, with his black hair, high cheekbones, and toned muscles. The alpha gene really was good, and like always, it made me swoon. But his new mate was beside him, clinging to him like a leech. I was sure he hadn't even once thought about me while I suffered all those weeks. I really wish I could hate him, but the damn mate bond wouldn't let me. Then he noticed me, and so did the rest of his squad and his mate. Once more, I was satisfied with the shocked look on their faces. I smirked, feeling smug before walking out on them, leaving their jaws hanging open. And I had been going through my college days like that. Boys were actually asking me out, and girls were trying to get close to me too. I didn't miss the angry glares I got from Stacy across the room or hallway, or the longing, burning look my former mate gave me. But it was too late for him. He had already made his choice. One night, I attended a college party at one of the dorms, and Brad actually had the nerve to corner me. He breathed in my scent, and if I hadn't pushed him away, he might have done other things too. I knew he was drunk and tried to get out of there. But then he grabbed me and started to grope me, whispering nonsensical stuff into my ear, asking me to forget the past and move on with him. As his mistress. Bile rose up in my throat before I kneed him in the groin and got out of there. What rubbish! Did he think I was that stupid, naive little girl he could push around like before? He wanted me to be his mistress while Stacy remained his mate? Never! I'd rather die. After that day, he didn't stop though, and I was getting sick of him. Even my wolf was starting to get irritated by him. Finally, last night he came to my dorm, drunk, and tried forcing himself on me. Luckily, my roommate Lana walked in on us and helped fight him off. And now, that's why I was glaring openly at him in the hall as the lecture went on. How dare he? Did he think as an alpha he could do anything to his packmates and get away with it?
Miss Ellie?
I turned at the sound of my name to the professor. She and the whole class have their necks turned and their eyes pinned on me. Awkward.
Is there something more interesting you're listening to?
I don't like her much. She's one of those lecturers who are very strict in their class. No, Miss Ava. I slightly shake my head, feeling embarrassed at the attention I'm getting. She sends one last stern look at me before resuming her teaching. I stare back at the devil to see him smirking my way. He probably caught me staring and thought it was for some other reason. Snorting in distaste, I throw one last glare at him before turning back to the lecture going on.